Once upon a time, there was a very clever thief who lived in a village. The village was beautiful and full of greenery. But the people of the village were quite poor. The village had many apple trees, but they all belonged to a rich man. One day, the thief walked through the apple orchard. He saw the ripe, juicy apples and thought to himself,
"Oh, these apples look so ripe and juicy. Why not steal some tonight and sell them at the market? I could make some money that way."
He decided that when night came, he would sneak in and steal some apples. Then, he would sell them at the market to make some money. So, thinking, he went to his house and waited for the sunset. After sunset, when it was dark enough, he set out for the orchard. Before he could enter the orchard, he saw a pious man coming there. The thief thought that the pious man had also come to steal the apples. He said to himself,
"Oh, that holy man is here. Maybe he's planning to steal the apples too."
So, he walked up to the pious man and said to him,
"Sir, let us steal the apples together and divide them into 2 equal parts. 2 people can do better, and moreover, no one is watching us."
But the pious man posed a question.
How can you say that nobody is watching us? I am watching you, and you are watching me.
"So, what?"
said the thief.
"Here, nobody is watching the 2 of us."
At this, the man said to him,
Look at the sky. There are lots of stars and a bright moon. Can you count the stars in the sky? Of course not. But God knows how many stars are in the sky. God is everywhere and always watching us.
The thief realized his mistake. Touching the feet of the pious man, he said,
"Oh, holy man, you have opened my eyes, and I shall never steal anything. Thank you."
Moral: always remember, God is watching even when you think no one is. Mike was a very smart boy who was very talkative. His parents always warned him not to talk to strangers, but he didn't listen. Every time they reminded him, he would promise to be careful. But as soon as he saw someone new, he would start chatting. It seemed like no matter how many times they warned him, he couldn't stop himself from talking to everyone he met. One sunny afternoon, Mike's dad was driving home when he saw Mike chatting with a stranger on the corner. He pulled over and watched for a moment. Mike seemed really interested in the conversation. His dad quickly walked over and gently put his hand on Mike's shoulder to stop him from talking. Mike's dad took his hand and led him to the car. As they sat down, his dad turned to him and said,
Mike, you need to stop talking to strangers. It can be very dangerous for you.
Mike looked down, feeling guilty.
I'm sorry, Dad. I just forgot.
He said softly. His dad sighed and replied,
I know you mean well, but you have to be more careful. Promise me. You will remember next time.
Mike nodded.
I promise. Dad.
One evening, Mike's mom was out grocery shopping when she spotted him on the sidewalk, talking with a stranger. The man handed Mike candy, which he happily accepted. Worried, she rushed over and took Mike by the hand.
Mike, come with me to the grocery store.
Mike nodded, and they walked together into the store. As they walked into the grocery store, Mike's mom kneeled down and looked him in the eyes.
Mike, you shouldn't talk to any strangers. And you definitely shouldn't accept candy from them,
she said.
This is dangerous. And you need to be careful.
Mike nodded.
I'm sorry. Mom. I didn't think. It was a big deal.
He said softly.
I know. Sweetheart.
She replied gently.
But it's really important to stay safe. Promise me. You will remember.
I promise. Mom.
Mike said, hugging her tightly. One evening, Mike's parents sat in the lounge. They were talking about Mike's habit of talking to strangers.
It's a serious issue,
his dad said, rubbing his chin thoughtfully.
I have made a plan to teach Mike a lesson, so he will stop chatting with strangers.
His mom looked intrigued. She asked,
What's your plan?
With a mischievous smile. His dad leaned in and whispered his idea to her. Her eyes widened in surprise. Then she said,
That sounds like a great idea.
She replied, nodding in agreement. It was Mike's birthday. He was very happy today. as his father had promised to give him a new bicycle. And Mom also promised to give him a laptop. That evening, when he reached home from school, there was nobody at home. His neighbor informed him that everyone had gone to the hospital because his grandpa had a very severe heart attack. In a short while, a stranger came and said,
"Your parents have asked me to take you to the hospital, as they are busy there."
Mike went with the stranger. The stranger forcibly took him to an old building instead of a hospital. As the stranger forcibly pulled Mike towards the old building, tears came up in his eyes. He tried to be free, but the stranger's grip was too strong. He realized something wasn't right. He cried out for help, but all in vain. Stranger pulled him towards a dark room. Now he remembered his parents warning him not to talk to any strangers. As soon as Mike entered the dark room, the room glittered with bright lights and echoed with birthday greetings. His mom, dad, and grandpa were present there. And all his friends were also there to celebrate his birthday. It was a surprise party to teach Mike a lesson. When Mike found himself safe at the surprise party, he rushed to his parents.
"I'm so sorry, Mom. Dad,"
he said, his voice quivering.
"I promise I won't talk to strangers again. I will be more careful. I promise."
His parents hugged him tightly.
This plan was just for you, to teach a lesson,
his mom said softly, wiping away his tears.
But please, remember your promise.
"I will, Mom.
Mike replied earnestly, nodding.
I really will."
Moral: always listen to your parents' advice and be cautious when interacting with strangers, as safety should never be taken for granted.